Hi, in this video we're going to look at the idea of trigonometry. So if we start with a right angle triangle, triangle A, B, C, the triangle is right angled at B, and initially we have an angle here, which we're going to call this angle here theta, and initially we're going to call it 30 degrees. Now each side of the triangle has a special name. So if we click here, we've got this side here is called the adjacent. Now why it's called the adjacent? Because it's right next to the angle. This side is called the opposite because it's opposite the angle. And this side, the longest side of the right angle triangle, has got a special name. It's called the hypotenuse, and that's always opposite the right angle. So one good thing for when you're doing trigonometry problems is that you label the sides of the triangle. And so given an angle, you can label that side as being adjacent because it's next to, that side is opposite because it's opposite to the angle, and that side is the hypotenuse. Needless to say, they're like drawing triangles at different angles. Now initially the angle here is at 30 degrees. Now if you look here, we have some ratios. So now the ratio of tan is going to be the opposite side divided by the adjacent. So the opposite side, which is that one, divided by the adjacent. The thing called sine is the opposite divided by the hypotenuse, opposite divided by the hypotenuse, and the cosine is the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. Now if we make the triangle bigger, you will notice that the values here do not change. Even though the numbers here change, the values here are always the same. And it doesn't matter the size of the triangle, we can make it smaller or larger. Tan 30, or that ratio, will always be about 0.58. The sine of 30 will be 0.5, and the cos of 30 will be 0.87. They do not change because these triangles are similar, but the ratios stay the same. This is what happens with trigonometry. So your calculator can store the value for tan 30, much more accurate than this, store the value for sine 30, and store the value for cos 30. And this will help us to be able to solve problems using the right angle triangle when we're perhaps given an angle and one of the sides, and we need to find one of the other sides. Now, if we change the angle, which we can do, let's just change the angle there to something like 49. Even if we change the size of the triangle, these values here change from 30, but these are the ratios for 49. And again, your calculator can store the values. And so the conclusion from this is if the tangent of theta is always equal to the opposite over adjacent, the sine of the angle, and this is the angle theta, is always equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse, and the cos of the angle is always equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So if you know this angle and one side, you can calculate perhaps this side or this side by choosing the correct ratio. And as we see in the later examples, I will show you how to do that. Now, this applet link I will put in the notes of this video. So this has been a video to show you how the introduction of trigonometry with right angle triangles. I hope you've understood, and I thank you very much for watching.